Hello everyone. Today in this video I am going to discuss about make or buy decision. I am Harshita, M.Com Final, MPM Government First Grade College, Karkala. Make or buy decision. Make or buy decision means it is a company's decision on whether to make the product or buy it from other suppliers. The decision applies to both goods and services. Business compare the cost and benefits of producing the goods and services within the company and the cost and benefits of getting an outside supplier to supply the goods and services. Finally, they select the best one which is beneficial to them. What is a make or buy decision? A make or buy decision is an act of choosing between manufacturing a product in-house or purchasing it from an external supplier. It is deciding whether to manufacture the product or purchase it from the other supplier. Make or buy decisions like outsourcing decision speak to a comparison of the cost and advantages of producing in-house versus buying it elsewhere. It is comparing cost and advantages of producing the product versus buying it. Now, what is outsourcing? Outsourcing means obtaining goods and services from an outside supplier. And what is in-house solution? In-house solution means producing the product within a company instead of relying on outsourcing. Managers must incorporate in-house production cost when considering in-house production. As it is making decision whether to make or buy, manager must consider all the cost incurred while production. It includes all the transaction cost involved in creating the product or services. Similarly, businesses must focus on both the production and transaction cost when considering outsourcing from outside supplier. The manager must also consider all the cost incurred while purchasing the product. There are many costs incurred while making the product as well as buying it. The cost like production cost, extra labor cost, monitoring cost, storage requirement cost, waste product disposal cost are incurred while production. While buying the product, the cost incurred like product price, sales tax charge, shipping cost, inventory holding cost, ordering cost, etc. The company must consider all this cost while making decision about make or buy, and they need to choose the way which is cheapest and cost beneficial. Analysis for make or buy decision. A complete decision can be made using quantitative or qualitative research, and most of the time the result of quantitative analysis, which is also known as cost benefit analysis, are enough to decide on whether to make the product or buy from outside supplier. Under quantitative analysis, businesses consider all the cost associated with producing the product or service in-house. At first, the business will consider all the cost which is associated with producing the product. The cost associated with outsourced production. Next, they will consider all the cost which is associated with purchasing the product. The the decision becomes a little straightforward if the company doesn't have an idle capacity to produce the product or service. If the company doesn't have capacity to produce the product, in such case management can opt to hire an outside supplier. Considering the company has the idle capacity and it is already incurring a large part of fixed expenses, it can choose to manufacture in the house if the marginal cost of manufacturing is less than what it will cost to buy from outside supplier. If the company has the capacity to produce the product and it is incurring less cost of manufacturing, then they can opt to production. The following are the major factors considered while deciding to make the goods or service in-house. First one is cost concerns. If it is expensive to buy from outside, they will choose to produce in-house. Desire to enhance the manufacturing focus. If they desire to increase the focus on manufacturing, they will choose to produce in-house. Intellectual property concerns. Intellectual property involves trade secrets, patents, copyrights, trademarks. If the company want to protect these intellectual property, they choose to produce in-house. Quality concerns. If the business have the concern about quality of the product, then they choose to produce in-house. Unreliable suppliers. If the supplier is unreliable, the business choose to make the product. The need for direct quality control over the product. Emotional reasons. For example, pride. If the company want to increase the pride, increase the goodwill, they will go for producing the goods and service. Absence or shortage of competent suppliers. Insignificant volume for a prospective supplier. A reduction of shipping and transportation cost. If the company want to reduce shipping and transportation cost, they will go for producing the products. For maintaining a backup source. Environmental reasons. Political reasons. These are the main factors considered while deciding to make the goods or services in-house. Next is the following are the major factors considered while deciding to buy the goods or service from the outside supplier. In that, first one is lack of expertise. If the company doesn't having expert knowledge about production, then they will go for purchasing it from outside suppliers. Research and specialized know-how of the supplier better than the buyer. If the supplier's product have specialized knowledge than the company, they will go for purchase it. Cost consideration. If the company will get the product with the lower cost, then they will go for purchasing it. Insufficient or no manufacturing capacity at the buyer's end. If the company is not having capacity to manufacture, they will buy the product. De-risking the sourcing. If they want to reduce the risk, they will go for purchase the product. Low volume requirement. If the requirement is low, then they will go for purchase rather than making. The supplier is more equipped than the buyer. If the supplier is more equipped than the company, they will go for the purchase. Procurement and inventory consideration. Product or service not essential to the firm's strategy. Preference of brand. These are the main factors considered while deciding to buy the goods or service from outside suppliers. Strategic consideration in make or buy decision. First one is quality consideration. They need to consider the quality of the product also. there may be chances that the product supplied by the supplier is defective. So they need to consider the quality of the product and then they can decide. Quantity consideration. If there is a large quantity requirement and supplier have low volume of product, then they need to produce the product. Cost consideration. They need to choose the decision which is cost beneficial to the company. They need to compare the cost incurred in both the cases if they purchase or make the product and choose the decision which is cheaper to them. Service consideration. Service consideration in the sense timely supply. The guarantee of supply is an important service consideration. Generally, it can be said that supply is more assured when a company makes an item than when it buys. Competence of know-how required. If the firm wants to produce an item, can acquire the necessary knowledge of making the item, but acquiring those knowledge also incurs some cost. The age of the firm. If the company is in the stage of development or growth, it is better to rely on outside supplier. Tax consideration. There are many tax and restrictions like customs, foreign exchange, import and export restrictions, excise duty, etc. If the company chooses to buy the product, at this time they can make the product rather than buy it. Labor union compulsion. Sometimes the labor unions may be against the decision. Generally, making rather than buying items may enable a firm to give more assured and regular employment to its employees. Emotional consideration. If the company is motivated by the idea of expansion, they will go for make decision. Subcontracting. Subcontracting is a practice wherein the producer hires the services of another producer to perform some manufacturing process so as to have the end product at their doorstep without going into the formalities of purchasing operation. In other words, it is one method of buying instead of making. Advantages of make or buy decision. The finding help choose the most efficient option to go about in-house production of outsourcing. The decision help in the strategic maneuver of the business. The decision help save the cost of many business. Businesses benefit from the lower cost of mistake if they think strategically about this decision. Conclusion. To conclude, the make or buy decision will be taken by considering the cost benefit analysis. They select or choose the decision which is cheapest and beneficial to them. Thank you.